Hello and welcome to Lady Bay Sports Round ahead of Season 3 of BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti. And what a way to kick off the season. It's the East Midlands derby, Nottingham Trent University hosting Loughborough students. Nottingham Trent enter into their second season off the back of an incredible finish to last term. They managed to do something that Loughborough students weren't able to do all year, and that is string 3 wins in a row together. Despite a mid-table finish, it's looking like another struggle for Loughborough as they aim to stay in National 1 and combine that with BUCS Super Rugby success as well. Despite a great finish to last year, Nottingham and Trent are still yet to get a victory over today's visitors, and a man who's hoping they will. Could today be the day? Chris Campbell, your programme director here at Nottingham Trent University Rugby. Welcome. What a day for it.
Yeah, it doesn't happen that often in Nottingham, so take a photo of it and come back this time next year. It might happen again.
Well, let's have a conversation about Nottingham Trent then. Lots of optimism here. It was a very, very difficult start to last year, but 3 great wins, 50 points away at Leeds Beckett. Must be an optimistic club.
Absolutely. I mean, last year wasn't anything we didn't expect. We knew it was going to be a really tough year. Maybe not quite as difficult in terms of the amount of weeks we went without being able to string a win together, but we had a lot of issues with injuries. We had a lot of players move up to play for Nottingham Rugby, which is fantastic, and that's what we're about here. When we managed to get a squad back together, we put in some really impressive performances and we really enjoyed that end to the year. The only shame was it had to finish. We'd have kept going for another few months.
Well, I'm sure you're not going to want reminding, but let's have a look at last year's league table. Loughborough students in 6th place. It's a grim bottom place there for Nottingham Trent University, but looking at the results, it was a gradual improvement, and I think one of the amazing things about this division is it's so difficult to pick a winner.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at our results from about Christmas onwards, I think apart from the very last game down at Exeter where we got knocked out in the quarterfinals, I don't think any of the games we lost by any more than 7, and then we turned the last few rounds into wins. But yeah, it's extremely difficult for a whole variety of reasons. We were delighted when we picked it up, and I do think some momentum will carry through for us.
Well, what do you think the turning point was then? There were a few heavy defeats at the beginning of the season, but as you mentioned, you started to close the gap. Was it self-belief or was it something more than that?
We did a very good job through Neil Fowkes, who was our head of rugby last year, and Alex, and really holding the squad together. We knew going into the year it was going to be tough. We lost some big characters and big players in the club at the end of the season before. We always knew that was going to happen. And as I said, we had a combination of more injuries than we hoped for, a few more players than was initially planned moving up to play for Nottingham, and all of that came together. But they held the belief together really, really well. We really consolidated nicely at Christmas. We had a really good mini pre-season coming out into the January-February period, and it wasn't a surprise that we put those performances in. We knew they were there. It was just getting that first one over the line, and as you will have seen since then, they continued through.
Well, arguably the team to beat towards the end of the season. Of course, Loughborough, we mentioned that balancing act. They've got National 1 to contend with as well. Of course, some of these Trent players are looking to play Championship Rugby with Nottingham. Loughborough are 4 seasons into that National 1 season. It's not gone, 4 games into that National 1 season. It's not been the perfect start. How's the pre-season been at Trent?
Yeah, very good. I mean, some of the guys are itching to play. They've been in with Nottingham since early June. Some of them, the guys that are on those student contracts, so they're absolutely itching to get on the field. Some of them have got some good minutes behind them because they've had some runs for Nottingham in the pre-season fixtures. 6 of the squad have played in the Championship, and we've had 2 really good hit-outs against Bishop Burton. So they're in a really confident place. It's the first game of the season. The first game of the season for both sides. There's always some rust in there, but you know, we're happy with what we've done coming into it.
Well, we had a couple of shots there of Loughborough's training. They've used over 90 players in this BUCS Super Rugby. Consistency is something that they've really struggled with. How do Nottingham Trent now go from a couple of wins that some could say were dead rubbers at the end of the season to actually putting in some of that consistency themselves?
Well, we understand the league now. There's a massive step up between the league below and this league, and we knew that was going to be the case, but however much planning and work you do, you can't actually deal with that until you actually play on the field. So we've got that. But what we've also done is we've done a huge amount of work in developing the players who are maybe below the Nottingham Rugby level of players to maybe really step up and become players who are credible first team candidates. If you build that depth up, it puts you in a much better place.
Well, Chris, thank you very much, and I look forward to you joining me for commentary of the match as well. We're counting down to kick off here, and beforehand I was lucky enough to catch up with both coaches, Jared Mullen and Alex O'Dowd. Well, Alex, here we are on the brink of another BUCS Super Rugby season. How's it been in the Trent camp?
Yeah, very good. I think we've had about 8 weeks of pre-season, so I think the boys are just champing at the bit to play some rugby now after putting in the hard yards and in the gym and out on the grass. So now's the time to see what they can do in the competition.
You turned things around almost miraculously last year from whipping boys to arguably the team to beat. What do you put that transformation down to?
Oh, look, I think to be fair, it's a little bit hard to say we were whipping boys. I think we've always come in thinking that we are actually capable of competing. We had no excuse. We had a lot of injuries last year, and we probably didn't have the depth that some of the established universities have. I think we've sort of semi-rectified that leading into this season. So I think that we've always had a belief that we can do well, but at the end of the day, the proof's in the pudding when you put it out on the pitch. So.
And speaking of putting it out on the pitch, one of the striking things about this league is the pace of it, the amount of time the ball spends in play. We've got a glorious day today here, so a great surface. Do you think that'll suit your team?
Look, yeah, obviously it's great to have the conditions we've got, but at the end of the day, rugby's about winning the tight five battle. You've got to win the game up front, and then if you don't get decent ball at source, then it doesn't really matter how much you want to play with it. You've got to win it up front. So at the end of the day, I think we know that that's our challenge. We got to front up in the front, tight five, and if we do that, yeah, we've got some exciting players. But as I say, you've got to win it up front first.
Speaking of those exciting players, you've got a few of the lads who are involved in scholarship schemes with the championship side Nottingham Rugby. How has that benefited the Trent programme moving into this season?
Oh, I think, look, both programs massively benefit by the collaboration between the university and Nottingham Rugby, obviously, with the coaching, the facilities. Boys are playing and getting coached full time. Which is a huge benefit for them. And then the university boys that are in the program are getting quality coaching, quality facilities, and I think that's just slowly rubbing off in the right direction for the university.
And of course, a fresh start. It's difficult to know much about the opposition as well. Do you have any expectations or any predictions for the shape of the match today?
Oh, look, Loughborough, obviously, an established university academically and obviously sporting-wise, they're one of the top in the country, if not the top. So for us, we know it's always going to be a battle. But I think quietly, the boys are really pretty comfortable. We're not a small brother that's just up the road, or we're a younger brother. We're here to compete and show them that. They can't take us lightly, and I don't think they should. So hopefully we can do justice to that.
Thanks for your time. Good luck.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you.
Well, Nathan, first day of another BUCS season. The sun's shining. It's all optimism here at Nottingham Trent. How is it with Loughborough?
Yeah, really looking forward to it. The boys have been in since August training, which is good. They've been up against the National 1 team quite regularly in training, so they're really well prepared for it. I think they're just looking forward to getting out and getting on with the league game, really.
Well, 6th in the table last year. The National 1 team managed to survive. Are you looking to improve on that?
Yeah, we're always looking to improve. I think we've got a new batch of players again, which always makes it challenging at the start of the year. So I'm sure we'll keep on improving as the season goes. With them being new, we've got to gel as a team, which obviously takes a little bit of time. But I'm, hoping that'll be sooner rather than later.
Well, with that new batch of players, how does that change expectation? Of course, every time you pull on that Loughborough jersey, there's the expectation to win from a player's perspective. Is it the same from the coaches too?
I think for me the main thing is to see that what we're doing in training is being applied on the field, making sure that we're not results focused. We're looking for the development of the team, and then the results will take care of itself eventually.
And speaking of the development of the team, Loughborough used more players than any other Super Rugby franchise last year, and consistency, quite frankly, was a problem. Have you taken steps to address that, or do you just think that's the nature of the beast at Loughborough?
I think it is the nature of the beast when you're running a programme with a National 1 team in it, because you're always going to pick up injuries. But it's one of our focuses this year to maximise player availability more than anything. So we've worked hard with the S&C and the physio team to make sure that we're in the best possible place to be robust enough for the start of the season, really.
In terms of style of play, of course, people love BUCS Super Rugby because it's fast, the ball stays in play. We've got a great surface and great conditions here today. What can we expect from this Loughborough side?
Well, the conditions are obviously what suits our game. So it's probably more of the same of what you saw last year, but hopefully we'll be a bit tighter up front, you know, and have a dig in the maul and at the scrum really. But we don't know what we're going to get until we've played really.
And finally, in terms of the opposition, they were bottom of the table last year, but that only tells half the story. What do you expect from Nottingham Trent today?
Obviously it's my first experience of a BSR game, however I watched a couple last year and they looked decent enough to me. I think they'll have improved in all areas of the field, so I think there'll be a challenge for anyone this year. I don't think they'll be bottom of the table come the end of the season, that's for sure.
Thanks for your time, mate. Good luck.
No problem, thank you.
And the hosts just making us wait a little bit longer in that hot pink of Nottingham Trent. Well, let's take a look at the starting lineups for both sides. The first match of BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti that we'll be bringing you. The host Nottingham Trent lineup as follows: Jamie Jack, John Broberg and Cecil McCarthy in the front row, Ben Davis-Moore and Joe Green in the engine room, Will Cardle, Jacob Rafter and Scott Hall in the back row, Alex Crocker and Will Sutton at 9 and 10, Harry Graham on the left wing, Matt Riddington and Alex Goebel at 12 and 13, Catano Branco on the right, and Max Craven is the fullback. Loughborough students winning 2 from 2 against Nottingham Trent last season. Line up with Joe Nixon, Jamie Cox and James Gallagher, Cameron Boone and Archie McPherson in the tight 5, Cameron Wilkins, Max Hill and Ollie Kilgallen making up the pack. Tom Walsh and Josh Lewis at halfbacks, Taju Atta on the left wing, Harry Priestner and Fergus Gury at 12 and 13, Will Atfield on the right and Jack Burrows at fullback. Well, Loughborough going to get us underway in those white jerseys with the dark shorts. Receiving the kickoff to the left of your screens, Nottingham Trent, decked out in those hot pink jerseys and the dark shorts. Chris Campbell, you've made your way from pitch side to join us here in the commentary position. Jamie Leahy will take charge of this one. And it's a strange air of expectation from both sides, isn't it? Of course, Nottingham Trent, we've mentioned it a few times, a narrow defeat to Loughborough, 10-7 last time these teams met. As Josh Lewis gets us underway. But expectations for Trent must be incredibly high going into this season. They've marked vast improvements, but now it's a case of doing that out on the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. The pre-seasons in university programmes are very long, really long off-seasons. It's been not far off 6 months since they last took the field competitively. So yeah, everyone's really excited for this one.
First carry there for Cecil McCarthy, big ball carry in front row. Trent looking to run it out of their own 22. Spending good valuable time with ball in hand here. Good defensive pressure though from Loughborough. Harry Priestner making his first tackle. Suggestion of a forward pass there over on the left hand side. Referee in a good position, allows play to continue. A second carry for the big prop forward. He's keen to get his hands on the ball. And a composed start here from the hosts.
Yeah, very happy with it so far. We're keeping the ball well. Forwards getting some good carries. Cecil's carried well, and we win the penalty out of it as well.
Well, just over a minute gone. Our clock not linked in with the referee's watch, so it's just an approximation. It will continue to tick. So if you're a Trent supporter or a Loughborough supporter and your team is winning when the clock goes red, don't get too excited. There's still some time to come, as we've nearly caught that ball in the commentary position there. Nice steady touch finder, and we're going to get our first look at the set piece here. BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti. And of course, early on in the season, impossible to have a settled team. A lot of pressure on the forward pack to secure good set piece ball.
There is, and they've spent a lot of time doing a lot of drills over the last few months, both sides. And we just about get the first one back.
Well, it was fumbled, but Broberg eventually finds his man, Harry Graham, one of the scholarship students, coming in off his wing there, taking the ball into midfield, and Trent up into the Loughborough half for the first time, but Will Atfield again, the right winger for Loughborough, making his presence felt in defence. Davis Moore with the carry there, big second rower in the scrum cap. Loughborough not got a touch of the ball yet as Sutton takes it into contact for Trent. Towards the 10-metre line. Quite difficult to see the markings in this autumn sunshine here at Lady Bay. This time Kilgallen for Loughborough has to make the tackle on the 10-metre line. Craven there in at first receiver, crash ball there for Riddington, who gets over the gain line, but he'd have felt that from Max Hill. Sutton, bit of space here for Rafter. Eventually Atta makes the tackle, but Rafter a real handful, the open side flanker. Jamie Jack, today's captain. Again, Craven in at first receiver, finds Davis Moore, who looks to punch the hole. Nixon's got hands on it for Loughborough, but it's still all Trent at the moment, looking so composed in possession. Craven spending a lot of time in that first receiver position at the moment. He's one of the more experienced campaigners, 14 starts in Super Rugby in a Trent jersey as that's dabbed through by Riddington. A race for the corner that's just about won by Loughborough, and Tom Walsh gets his first touch and he's really under pressure. And they've won the penalty as well. 3.5 minutes of great phase rugby here from the hosts. They're deep into the Loughborough 22, and what a start for the men in pink.
Fantastic composure from the Trent boys there. Carried the ball really well through contact, some really strong leg drives, and just built the pressure down the field and have earned the opportunity to get the first 5 metre line out.
Well, it's a lovely dab through from Riddington, but of course a kick is only as good as its chase, and Branco, the left winger, chased with aplomb. It's been dabbed for touch, and Trent have a line out 5 metres out with the throw in. Broberg, albeit in an unorthodox manner, found his man first time round. If they can secure the ball here, this is position A to open the scoring. They go to the middle this time, received well from Green. Loughborough commits some numbers. Will it start to creep forward now? Scrappy here from Trent. And have Loughborough turned this over? No, they haven't. Still with Trent. 5 minutes gone, 5 metres short. And the first mistake, just as Loughborough start to put the pressure on. Good defensive lift from the visitors. Butterfingers there from Sutton, and the chance has gone.
Disappointing first maul set up there, I think, a little bit from the Trent forwards. Got a little bit too high. Couldn't transfer the ball back as well as they would have liked, and it gave Loughborough the opportunity to shut that down at source.
Well, Will Sutton not quite on the wavelength of Alex Crocker there. Was expecting to receive that ball a little bit more static. There's a man down here for Nottingham Trent. It's been a busy start though, particularly the tight 5 forwards. Alex O'Dowd talked before the match about winning that battle in the tight 5. And all 5 of them have managed to get their hands on the ball here. A solid start from the big forwards.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cecil, who's down there just being treated by the physio team, has got his hands on the ball 3 or 4 times early in that. Really encouraging to see the second rows in particular just looking for a bit of space, looking for the outside shoulder, and that's just made those little game line gains that we need to get the ball going forward.
Just over 5 minutes gone in this opening live fixture of BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti. Nottingham Trent against Loughborough students. And this, the first chance Loughborough are really going to have to get their hands on the ball. Nottingham received the kick-off inside their own 22. Managed to run the ball all the way to their opponent's try line. This will be an insight into Loughborough's approach here. Bit of a breeze has picked up as well, so the clearance kick's not going to be the easiest, but of course they've got to secure the scrum first. Both captains playing in the front row. Jamie Jack for Trent. Jamie Cox, the hooker for Loughborough. With the pressure coming on from Trent, and number 8 Kilgallen goes. Not brought down by his opposite number, Scott Hall. Slow ball here for Loughborough. And the clearance kick out on the full, so that's one mistake apiece, and Loughborough inviting pressure this time. Well, in the last minute or so, that wind's really started to swirl around, hasn't it? You can see the long shadows of the players. If Loughborough can get the kicking game right in this first half, likewise Trent, they can really put some pressure on the back three with those high balls, but that's really good line-up ball there from Trent, and once again it's Harry Graham infield. He's come looking for work a few times this match already. Crunching hit there on Will Cardle as he slows down, going into the contact zone. Bang in the middle of the pitch on the 22. Davis Moore, ball in hand once again, but it's static this time. Good quick ball. 7 minutes gone, still scoreless, but how long for as Rafter takes them back towards the post. Bang on the 22. Sutton gets his hands on the ball this time, but it's a loose pass picked up by Cardle. It's through a couple, they're just 5 metres short again. Here there are numbers, and Loughborough at 1s and 2s in defence. Lovely footwork inside, a few loose tackles, but Harry Graham's brought down. Here's Jack, the captain, for the line, and he opens the scoring. It's been relentless pressure from Nottingham Trent, and it pays. Inside 8 minutes, it's Trent 5, Loughborough 0.
Yeah, the bounce of the ball there has created the opportunity. Loughborough will have probably been fairly happy with that defensive set for the first 4 or 5 phases. We're tackling low, we're getting players to deck and getting a second man over the ball. But as the ball went to deck a few phases later on, is what opened the game up and gave the try scoring opportunity.
Well, that was the mistake. The ball kicked out on the full. Loughborough inviting the pressure. And Nottingham Trent, having missed one opportunity, were a lot more clinical the second time. Here was the captain, Jamie Jack. Here's Sutton with his first pop at goal. Crisp strike with the left boot, and he adds the extras. Nottingham Trent 7, Loughborough Students 0.
And there we see the opportunity which came up from that loose bounce to the ball. So Loughborough will have been pretty happy with what they were doing up to then, but it was a loose bounce that made the opportunity for Will Cardle to make the break in a couple of phases later. The skipper Jamie Jack got over the line.
Back underway. Can Loughborough go deep with the kick-off? And again, Trent happy to attack from inside the 22. Scott Hall, the number 8, taking that initial collision. Oh, nice offload out of the tackle. Real statement of intent here from Trent, not scared to run the ball from deep. And of course, they've got that breeze in this first half to assist with the kick, but Loughborough have turned that one over. Here's Wilkins, the blindside flanker in the scrum cap. Here's Atta. An expectation around the left winger. They expect him to feature in the National League side at points throughout this season. Tom Walsh, the scrum half, finds Lewis, the outside half. Big tackle on Gallagher, driven back the big front rower. Good pick up off the toes there from Lewis. Here's Gury, the missed pass out there for Atfield. Tackled in the 22, good cover defence here from Trent. Looked as though Atfield might have some space to gallop into, but the door slammed shut by Trent's defence. This Loughborough students' first visit into the opponent's 22, trailing 7-0 after that Jamie Jack try, but the referee takes them back there for a relatively lengthy advantage.
Disappointing set there really from the Trent guys. Having just scored, you'd obviously look to try and exit as quickly as possible. Weren't able to do that. But credit to the Loughborough players who have not had any ball at all for the first 11 minutes and have already created an opportunity to either kick a goal or go 5 metres out, which looks like what they're doing.
Well, Lewis dabs for the corner. I'm going to take our first look at the Loughborough line out. Consultation between the forwards there. A great opportunity for Loughborough to respond in kind here. Over 10 minutes gone here. BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti. Jamie Cox, the hooker, captain of this Loughborough BUCS Super Rugby side. 3 from 3 for Trent line-out so far. Oh, they've tried to upset that one as well, but Loughborough set the drive. Marching towards the post, has that been dragged down? The referee has his arm out here. Walsh goes digging for it. And this pass finds Guri. Missing out Priestner as centre partner. Only one player on the right-hand side for Loughborough students. It's going to be narrow. 2 metres short, under the sticks here for Loughborough. Gallagher sets up next to McPherson. Trying to drive the big man over, but his body position's not ideal. Trent hold firm. Kilgallen waits to the right-hand side, but Loughborough keep it narrow. Referee taking a good look at this. He's not given it yet. He's having a conversation with his assistant, is Jamie Leahy. Oh, the try's been awarded. Well, the reaction of the players and the reaction of the assistant as well. We thought there was going to be a consultation, but the referee had a good look at that and he decided that the ball was grounded. Let's take another look at this. So difficult to tell. Credit to the referee. Took a good look at that one, and Loughborough back in the game. Their first foray into the Trent 22 yields a score. Trent 7, Loughborough 5. Here's the conversion. Lewis splits the uprights and we're all square.
And for all the talk we've had about it being a lovely sunny day here, first 2 tries of the day have both come from short pick and goes. Loughborough deserve a lot of credit for that. They've been under pressure for the first 11 minutes. Trent have dominated field position and territory, and Loughborough have gone straight back down the other end and equalised the score up.
Well, the cloud's just starting to roll in here. And I think there'll be some relieved wingers and fullbacks as well, because with that low sun, taking some of these kicks could have proved troublesome as Trent get us back underway. That one stroked into the arms of the Loughborough receivers. I think Trent were expecting a little bit more of a chase on that. Good solid defence here from Trent, putting the big men in the middle. Cecil McCarthy, we're at number 3, has had a very busy 15 minutes, both in attack and defence. Took that early knock in the 22. That doesn't seem to have affected him one bit. Jacob Rafter making the tackle, and they're trying to hold him up here. Still moving forward though, and Loughborough eventually get the ball to ground. Huge strength there from Rafter to hold the man up though. It's a good take there by Sutton, the outside half, perching on the right wing. Crocker. Oh, excellent tackle on Hall. Driven back, the number 8 in the scrum cap. Craven again in at first receiver. Nice feet to take Trent up over the 10-metre line. That's been turned over again though. What can Loughborough do here? Nice feet from Priestner to get round the outside. Still brought down Priestner. Oh, and that's been ripped again. Well, what a response there from Trent. Loughborough have won the line out. Again, it's that man, Ben Davis-Moore, manages, should I say, to recover the ball before being taken out on the far side. It's got a little bit frenetic, Chris.
Yeah, it has done, and it's encouraging to see the real contest at the breakdown, and Loughborough just hunting every second or third breakdown. They're sending a man over the ball, and on a couple of occasions now they've just got there a little bit quicker than the Trent clearers, and that's twice now that Trent have been turned over in that area of the field. So they need to just have a little think about how they're going to better exit from their own 22.
Nice work there from Priestner. Got around Max Craven, realised the option wasn't on, so held on, but look at that, the big right hand coming in. It was Alex Goebel, in fact. Big outside centre as the sun bathes us once again. Even the subs are struggling. Nottingham Trent 7, Loughborough Students 7. Well, in the early kick-off, Exeter victorious over debutants Cardiff University. A comfortable victory as well, 43 points to 19. Of course, Cardiff in their debut season. We spoke earlier about the struggles. Sorry, Leeds Beckett, but Cardiff, of course, playing against Cardiff Metropolitan next week. Got a little bit confused. That's a big one at the Arms Park. Exeter over Leeds Beckett. That's a good win for Exeter. Leeds Beckett can be trouble for everybody. Leeds Beckett finishing 4th in the table last year. The change being made. Jacob Turner coming on in the pack for Nottingham Trent. He's taking his position at number 8. Well, if we get any news on whether that's tactical or injury related, of course Scott Hall took a big knot. Confirmation that it is Scott Hall that's made way for Jacob Turner. A little bit of medical attention to that left arm. Well, both coaches talked about winning that forward battle, and it has been a physical start. So no surprise that they're picking up knocks out there. Loughborough put in. Scrum on the 22.
Yeah, keep it on!
Hatfield comes in field looking for work.
Yeah, Munster!
Lewis waits, but the forwards barge in once again. Wilkins, the number 6, takes them to bang in front of the sticks. Max Hill, his back row partner, supported there by the captain Cox. 5 metres short here for Loughborough Students. Kilgallen, stood up well and driven backwards. Massive defence. Alex Goebel again. What a physical presence he is in midfield. Little chip over the top, looking for Atta. It's been dropped and pounced upon. It's a second score for Loughborough Students. Well, a smart kick in behind, and Loughborough from a score down take the lead for the first time in the match, 12-7.
Both sides playing a very similar attacking pattern when they get down into the 22, bringing players around the corner, and that's one of those things which happens with a rugby ball sometime. I'm sure Max Craven there would argue that he did ground that ball, but the referee Jamie Lee, who's had an excellent start, thought otherwise.
Well, Josh Lewis will be awarded the score. Chris Campbell next to me, shaking his head. He thinks that the ball was grounded. It's a difficult take there for Nottingham Trent. Looked like he'd done the hard work, but sometimes it's the bounce of the ball that punishes you. The conversion drifts across the face, so it remains Nottingham Trent 7, Loughborough Students 12. As Lewis jogs back, one conversion from 2, and of course the touchdown for him. Let's take another look at this. It's a lovely nudge from Walsh to turn Craven.
I think that would be an interesting one for a TMO if there was a TMO present there. I think Craven would argue he did ground the ball, could have been short of the line. Who knows?
Well, hopefully we'll get the chance to speak to him later on in the day to find out the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. But as we approach 20 minutes here in the first half, Loughborough knock the ball on. This is an opportunity for Trent to respond. It is Trent 7, Loughborough 12. As Broberg beats the first tackle. Jacob Turner straight in on the action there, the replacement number 8. Step inside from Riddington. Sutton with a short ball. We've got a couple of angles of this, so let's see where the ball was grounded. This was the first angle that we saw. We might get a really good look at it here. There's the dab over the top. I think he was short of the line.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd say if he does ground that, it's probably just short. And to be fair to Max, he's an honest bloke. So I think you could tell. I think you could tell in his eyes there. Really important few minutes though here for all the Trent players. Having gone 12, having seen 12 quick points, need to get something on the board, and hopefully Wilson can do that here.
Well, Scott Hall's on his way back on. He's been patched up, so Jacob Turner returns to the bench. Trent opting for the points here. Will Sutton looking to take them to double figures as we get to the halfway point of the first half. He's 1 from 1 from the tee so far. Drives that one low, the flags go up. Nottingham Trent 10, Loughborough Students 12.
Sensible decision there, I think, from Jamie Jack, the captain, to choose kick at goal. Loughborough have just built some momentum in this game in the last 10 minutes, scored those 2 tries, and just taking a minute off the clock, calming everything down, getting 3 points on the board. Hopefully we'll just settle the game down a little bit for the Trent team.
20 minutes gone then in this opening live fixture. BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti. There is the number 8, Scott Hall. Clean take from him. For a couple of minutes. Got patched up, of course. It's a chance to get his breath back as well. Box kick hangs high. That's gone forward off a pink hand, I'd suggest, and the referee agrees. Loughborough put boot to ball though. Looking to turn the winger on the left-hand side, who watches that well. Takes it just outside the 22. Puts boot to ball himself. Jack Burrows watches that one go straight out, and that's a good clearance kick. First time we've really seen any kick tennis. Both teams have been quite keen to run the ball up until now.
They have, and I think there's a certain level of start of season enthusiasm into that. The game's just, both teams are looking to really settle down into their patterns, and Trent just needs to spend a little bit of time outside of their half. The last 10-15 minutes they've spent a lot of time deep in their own 22, and there's nothing like just relieving a bit of pressure.
Gallen secures the ball for Loughborough. Here's Lewis. Some back rowers with hands on it in the line, and of course Goebel rushing out again. He's done some wonderful defensive work as the Trent outside centre. Looks to be a real leader in that defensive line for Trent as well.
He is. Outside centre is the hardest position in the team to defend, and he's read a couple really nicely. Would have liked to have got probably a slightly bigger hit than he got on that, but he managed to shut the attack down, which was looking promising.
Walsh puts left boot to ball again. Oh, and that's drifted out on the full for a second time. Of course, it was his kick that set up the try. But that's twice in 20 minutes. He's invited pressure on the Loughborough 22. The first time ultimately led to a Trent score. And when you're trying to regain a hold on the match, from a Trent perspective, that's ideal.
Yeah, I think the Trent guys will just want to get hold of the ball for a little bit now. They've got down just inside the Loughborough half. If they can just hold on to the ball for a few phases like they did in the first few minutes, that'll really settle things. Good ball there from Broberg. Here comes Trent again. Scott Hall hanging out, looking for the big collision, and that's exactly what he gets. Davis Moore driven back as well. Consecutive big hits from Loughborough in the midfield. Goebel nearly getting through himself that time. Nearly lost his shorts for his troubles as well, did Alex Goebel. Crocker there, I think, just dwelling on that a touch, because had that offload gone to hand, then he might have been unopposed under the sticks. But promising stuff from Trent. But equally promising defence from Loughborough. Some monster hits by the big forwards in midfield. And worryingly for Trent, it is Alex Goebel after a busy 25 minutes, who's the man taking a knee at the moment.
Trent will have been happy with the clean ball off the top of the line. It's going to be interesting to see how the attacking structures develop as the game goes on. Coming very heavily around the corner, a lot of carries off Alex Crocker, the scrum half, and you just see Loughborough just starting to pick up on that and making some real impacts on the defensive line. And it's changes of things like that we've just seen from Alex Goebel coming on the inside line, which is how this attack might develop. Be interesting to see how it goes for the remainder of the game.
A lot of pressure coming on the scrum there from Trent, but referee happy for Loughborough to get the ball out of the back as it's taken in by Priestner. Look forward, but the referee in a great position, and Atfield skips around the outside. Lovely work from the Loughborough right winger. Taj Atta was there in support as well. As Max Hill drives the man on for Loughborough. Lewis. Here's Goury, finds his centre partner Priestner. Scott Nixon. Here's McPherson. The big lock forward on the wing marches Loughborough into the 22. It's Cameron Boone met with a pink wall. There's another advantage. Certainly not scared to let them play before taking them back as this referee. Will Atfield, that's the first sniff of space he's got.
I'd say defensively, Trent didn't do too badly there. They got stuck with Cecil McCarthy in the 13 channel with a couple of forwards either side. So he did well just to hold off. And yes, Loughborough went back to the penalty, but they did well to stop that being any more.
Certainly did. Harry Priestner spotting the mismatch in midfield. It's one of those ones where you want the left winger stood there, though, not the second rower. But of course, Taj Atta was over supporting on the right-hand side. Good field position here, though, for Loughborough students. 26 minutes gone, and another line out inside the opponent's 22. Taj Atta is stood back on his left wing here. Inside him, Jack Burrows. They secure that ball well through McPherson. After opting for the drive, met well by Trent at this stage. Continues to come forward. Hands on the ball from Gallagher. Advantage coming as well. This could be trouble for Trent. Nixon. Oh, these big front rowers love getting their hands on the ball. Wilkins waits, 2 men offer their support. Max Hill's one of them, he takes it in. Walsh has to dig for it, it's slower than he wants. The referee reaching for his pocket, who's going to the bin? Well, they're 2 points behind, and they're going to be down to 14 for a little while as well. And this a massive opportunity for Loughborough now. Riddington, the guilty party.
Not sure there can be too many complaints there. There's already advantage coming from the maul over the far side when Scotty Hall changes bind and went in on the ball. The referee might have been considering a yellow card for that one. So when he saw a penalty offence there against Matt Riddington, I don't think there can be any shock he decided to pull out the yellow card.
Coach, get the boot.
Well, scrum to Loughborough, 8 metres short to the left of the posts. Tajuata, the only man stood left. And Loughborough with a natural overlap on the right hand side. Kilgallen picks and goes, oh, it's gone to ground at first. There's the offload, oh, it's gone forward, the chance has gone for Loughborough. Fergus Goury couldn't keep his hands on it. And with the overlap for Loughborough there was no need to rush. Chance gone, and Trent escaped for now.
Real let off there. It's really hard to defend as a back line when you're a man down 5 metres out, especially where you've got a split field scrum like we had on that one. So the Trent team will be absolutely delighted to have got away with that. And now let's see if they decide to put boot to ball from 5 metres out from their own line.
Well, that breeze has picked up and it is favouring Trent in terms of the clearance. And when you're down to 14, this is the last place that you want to be playing rugby. And these conversations, of course, will suit Trent because it's just eating seconds out of this sin bin. Trent 10, Loughborough students 12 as we approach half an hour.
Wouldn't be surprised if this scrum takes about 3 minutes to complete.
Just looking at the lineups here, sometimes it's easy to forget that this is student rugby. There are some absolute monsters in either pack in particular. Looking at Cecil McCarthy in particular, he looks like he's got 4 legs. Oh, it's been knocked on from Trent in the carnage. Let's take another look at it. The pressure came on from Loughborough. The scrum has been pretty even so far, but that's the first time Loughborough have really been able to get any traction.
I think the Loughborough loose head just manages to get a step round on Cecil McCarthy there and just slightly nudges his body position, which puts the pressure on the base. There we go. Loughborough 1 just takes a little step round. Cecil tries to maintain his position, but it took Loughborough round and then put the pressure on the base of the scrum, which led to the knock-on.
And of course, Scott Hall, the man at number 8, and there's so much pressure with the scrum going backwards. The pressure from Trent, but Loughborough can come away with it. Here's Jack Burrows, steps inside. And he's smothered, that's been turned over as well. Great response from Trent. But now they need to escape. And they've managed to win the penalty. Well, what a moment to come up with a turnover. They're inviting the pressure, but they're coming up with the response here. It was a good hit. It was a combination of Sutton and Hall.
Very smart work there from Will Sutton. When you go down on that tackle, he just gets his hand on the ball just to knock it out. Try saving tackle from the fly off.
It's a good clearance kick in between the 22 and the 10-metre line. We're nearly halfway through this yellow card. Remember, our ticking clock is not linked in with the referee. It's an approximation. Nottingham Trent currently down to 14. Riddington, the man having a breather on the bench as it stands. Other than that, the 2.15s were as they started. Scott Hall had a brief period off the pitch to get patched up. Jacob Turner came on for him. Here come Trent now through Scott Hall. Again, Trent really keen to run the ball. It's admirable, but is it wise? Branco. Tackled by Cox, the Loughborough captain. Crocker hoists that one high up the right-hand side. And this time he's the guilty party of putting it straight out. I don't think either of the scrum halves really realise how strong this wind is at the top. It's drifting towards this touchline. And again, Trent having to answer questions they shouldn't really be asking, should I say. 33 minutes gone. Still time left in the sin bin. Loughborough in no hurry, however. Perhaps a little bit guilty of rushing things, knowing that they've got a man advantage in a tight match, Loughborough students.
Yes!
This line out. Bang on the 22. This time they decide to put the move on in midfield, and just as it looks like Lewis has found a way through, the referee brings them back up, and some handbags as well. Alex Goebel not happy with the Loughborough outside half.
I think depending on your point of view decides whether you think the referee set that the right way or not. Really borderline one as to whether that was crossing and whether the guy coming in was a risky option to receive the ball.
Well, it's a miss-hit kick. Well, maybe the big ref in the skies equalled that one up, because the penalty is missed touch. It was well taken by McPherson in the second row, and Loughborough back on the front foot. Fancy footwork from Tom Walsh. Eventually he's brought down just over the 10-metre line. Nixon takes it standing still, and he's driven backwards. Physicality, particularly from the forwards, tackling in tight situations, unquestionable in this season opener. Walsh drifts sideways, will be out of the next phase. Loughborough pick and go. 2 minutes of the sin bin remaining. About 5 minutes of the first half. Loughborough with the narrowest of leads after a pretty frantic start. It's calmed down, but another penalty here for the visitors. This penalty count just starting to creep up. This is something that both teams will be keeping an eye on. Bit of medical attention for Branco. Just out of your shot, and this time Loughborough missed touch with the penalty. Well, let off for both sides in quick succession. The kick charge down there by Goebel, but it goes back Pink's way. Craven takes the ball in, it's spilled out, and it's back with Loughborough again. Well, it really has got scrappy. And with this field position, this will suit the visitors. Atta, powerful runner, gets through the tackle of Goebel, brought down 15 metres short. Narrow from Loughborough as the captain Cox takes it in. Cameron Boone, he's a little bit too late to that one.
actually Sutton who's getting some attention. Problem with the left leg of Sutton. Down at the subs bench. Seeing if anybody's warming up. Riddington's trying to get the attention of the referee because he thinks he should be back on. Will Sutton, one of those scholarship students involved with Nottingham Rugby. That would be a big blow if they were to lose him at this stage of the match. This one though, pretty evenly poised. And he doesn't look particularly comfortable, Will Sutton. We'll try and get an update on that at half-time, but for the time being at least, he will be replaced, certainly for the remainder of the first half. Ed Morgan will be the man to replace him. A fresh-faced Ed Morgan. And this time the penalty does find touch, and that's a good clearance from Nottingham. Trent, as Matt Riddington takes his place. They're back up to 15. I think Nottingham Trent will be pretty happy with that 10 minutes. They've made a few mistakes, but the scoreboard hasn't changed. It's still Nottingham Trent 10, Loughborough Students 12. We're back up to 15 aside, and Trent are bang on the halfway line with the throw-in at the line out. And that's about as well as that could have gone.
Great opportunity. Young Morgan coming on at fly half. I think Trent at this point will just happily work it through the half time as that pass goes forward.
Well, it would have been a great opportunity to go through the phases, build some pressure like they did in the opening 5 minutes. Just attempting to release the winger was Alex Goebel, the guilty party.
Been an interesting way the game's played out. You know, Trent have only been down in Loughborough territory a couple of times and have come away with scores on both occasions, and they dominated the first 10 minutes. But Loughborough have probably taken most of the ball in the last 30 minutes, and will probably go into half-time assuming the scores stay the same. A little bit disappointed they haven't got more on the board.
Approaching half-time here in this opening fixture of the BUCS Super Rugby season, presented by Yoti. We'll be bringing you a live fixture from every match week. Really interesting battle between Joe Nixon and Cecil McCarthy in that front row. That seems to be where all the action is. The side closest to us, Nixon wearing 1 for Loughborough, McCarthy wearing 3 for Trent.
It's where the most exciting rugby takes place.
That is a subjective opinion.
I don't think there'll be too many who would agree with that.
Eventually the ball comes in from Walsh. Pressure coming on from Nixon, and Walsh can get the ball out cleanly. Priestner. Perhaps one last throw of the dice here for Loughborough before half-time. Good footwork from Burrows, but good defensive work from Branco as well. Follows him inside, out, makes the tackle. Kilgallen moves it on to Lewis, who tries to go around the outside. And Rafter gets his body over that ball before he's eventually barged off. Gallagher. Our clock now up over 40 minutes, so we're approaching the end of the half here as Lewis looks to step inside, but again he's met by a stern Trent defence. There's Cox. Hands on that from McCarthy. He can't turn it over, and Tom Walsh gets absolutely creamed there, but somehow it still comes back Loughborough's way. The penalty has been awarded. Another little bit of indiscipline here. Will it cost Trent? Let's take a look at this here. Keep your eye on Tom Walsh.
Loughborough look like they're taking a goal off this one. Yeah, doesn't come through the gate on it. Jacobs made a 50-50 call that the ball was out. Referee deemed it wasn't.
Tom Walsh. He's 1 from 2 with his conversions. This is first attempted penalty. Bang on the 10-metre line, but into that breeze. This is not an easy kick at all. First kick from inside the 22, pretty straightforward. His second one from the left touchline, drifted across the face. To increase Loughborough's lead. Is it going to have the legs? Yes, it is. The flags go up. And on the stroke of half-time, Loughborough increase their lead. It's Nottingham Trent 10, Loughborough Students 15. Well, both teams leave the field in the glorious sunshine here in Nottingham. Fantastic conditions for this opening fixture. BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti. Nottingham Trent 10, Loughborough Students 15. Chris, your thoughts on those opening 40 minutes?
I think Loughborough deserved to take the lead into the break and have had opportunities to score more. Interesting how the game played out. Loughborough really struggled to get any grip on the game in those first 10 or 11 minutes, and I think a combination of them starting to get their patterns moving better, but also some errors that Trent made that Alex O'Dowd will not have been happy with, and I'm sure they'll be discussing them as they've gone into the changing rooms for half time.
Well, it was a fantastic start from Trent, of course, and it was almost as though that was the undoing of them, because they started great, everything was going well, then they seemed to just take their foot off the gas as Loughborough came in. I think we're going to see the opening try. It was a wonderful start from Trent, 5 minutes of complete possession, but sometimes it takes something scrappy to get you underway.
It does. Loughborough were defending relatively well there. They went 4 or 5 phases, making very solid leg tackles, but it was the bounce of the ball which led to the break which Cardell made before Jamie Jack went over a couple of phases later.
Front rowers love getting on the score sheet as well. He'd have thoroughly enjoyed opening the scoring for the team that he captains. Take another look at this as well. Loughborough committing 4 or 5 defenders there. It's often a rush when the ball is bouncing at one, but it's an excellent finish there.
Yeah, Jamie just took the outside angle really nicely, and when you're only looking to go a metre or 2, that's all you need to do to get the score.
Well, this was Loughborough's first venture into their opponent's 22. There was a bit of confusion, and we actually thought the referee was going to confer with his assistant. No real reaction from either side there, hence our confusion as well. And this was the second score. Perhaps a bit of controversy here. We've had a few replays, but it was a lovely kick and good thinking from Tom Walsh to turn Max Craven.
Yeah, I think Max did get that ball down, but I think it was probably just short of the line. Yeah, that's what happens when you've got an oval-shaped ball bouncing around the place.
This was the scoop. Perhaps now we can decide once and for all, was it down from Craven and was it over the line? He's short of the line there. Yeah, I think he was just short. Actually, there's controversy as to who actually grounded that. I think we're going to give it to Lewis, but that can be one for the dubious tries committee to see if it's actually awarded to Josh Lewis or Tajuata.
He won't be giving that one up.
Well, let's go super slow. He's dived on it. Yeah, he's got the right hand to that. So Josh Lewis, he's into double figures for the season already. 1 try, 1 conversion, 1 penalty. He's got 10 of Loughborough's 15 points. Of course, we'll be bringing you BUCS Super Rugby every week the competition's on. It's the third season of this brilliant contest, and if you're watching it for the first time, you're in for an absolute treat. Thank you for joining us. Half-time here, Nottingham Trent 10, Loughborough 15. Let's take a look at what we can look forward to for the rest of the season.
BUCS Super Rugby is exciting.
The try goes up and Harbury win it!
Energising.
Watson still charging on towards the centre, keeps his feet as well, and Loughborough have their try.
Unpredictable.
Durham have finally turned it around to defeat top of the league Northumbria.
Fast.
It's Will Muir, the danger man, don't give it to him. Ho-ho!
Challenging. Opportunity. Surprising.
And it's a drop, and Partington's eyes light up, and Partington darts towards the try line, into the corner, and that is an uncharacteristic error from Exeter.
Professional. Winning.
Exeter, start cheering right now because you are the BUCS Super Rugby champions for 2017-18.
BUCS Super Rugby is intense.
But of course, this isn't the only match taking place today. Exeter hosted the early kickoff, and they were victorious against Leeds Beckett. A fantastic win for them. Leeds Beckett, of course, a real thorn in many teams' sides. Apologies for saying Cardiff earlier. Of course, they host Hartbury today in their opening fixture in BUCS Super Rugby. But Exeter 43, Leeds Beckett 19. That a massive statement there from Exeter. We always expect them to be competitive at this level.
They're a very good side. They've got an excellent programme. They're very well coached. They're very well supportive, and it's a really challenging place to go and play at down in Exeter. Beckett will be disappointed with that, I'm sure. They've had a very long pre-season. I know their coaches Colin and Kerry, and they've worked really hard with that squad over the summer. They'll be looking to really bounce back next week after that, I'm sure.
Well, that is the very first BUCS Super Rugby table of the season. I'm not sure how much we can look into that one, but Exeter currently sit top of the tree. But the good news is, at the moment, you're not bottom of the table, Chris Campbell, although looking at this side here, you're behind against Loughborough. I can't imagine you will become the end of the season. These are some of the matches that we will be bringing you live throughout the year. Cardiff versus Cardiff Met. That is Wednesday the 3rd of October. That is live from the Arms Park. That's a mouth-watering prospect. Then we go up to Durham. They face Bath. That's on Friday the 5th of October. The following week, Hartbury host Leeds Beckett. If you're a Leeds Beckett fan, then you're in luck, because we'll be showing you visiting Bath as well. And then we have the return fixture. It's unbelievable they turn around that quickly. Wednesday the 24th of October, Loughborough versus Nottingham Trent. The reverse of this one. And I look at that list, Chris, and I see mouth-watering fixtures. There are no gimmies in BUCS Super Rugby.
No, I'm really excited by the Cardiff game next week. Obviously, they're new to the league this year, and I'm sure playing at the Arms Park, they are going to have a really strong following behind them very early in the university term. Durham v Bath is another really interesting one. I believe that's being played down in London. So Durham are taking that one down there. And then we've got these two games we're seeing from Beckett. Hartbury against Beckett's got a little bit of a history behind it. There's been some really great games between those two over the past couple of years. And then it's only a month's time till we meet Loughborough again, just down the M1.
You say just down the M1. It's nice to have a local match, I'd imagine, because there's so much travelling going on. Of course, Northumbria all the way down to Exeter, as you mentioned. Durham are having that match at Rosslyn Park, I believe. Perhaps looking to tap into some of the former students who might be earning a crust down in London now. But either way, do follow this league from start to finish. We'll have some absolutely fantastic games. I mean, the final last year was one of the best matches that I had the pleasure to attend. It ebbed and flowed. Eventually, Hartbury were victorious over Cardiff Met. But let's bring our attentions back to Lady Bay as the clouds start to come over in the shadow of the Brian Clough stand. This one still in the balance. Nottingham Trent 10, Loughborough Students 15. As you mentioned at the half-time whistle, Loughborough Students probably good for their lead, but Trent have shown that once they get a grip of this game, it's difficult for Loughborough to get their hands on the ball.
Yeah, I think so. Loughborough have definitely dominated the possession of this game, and I think part of that is due to the errors that Trent have made. Of course, Loughborough would argue they've created those errors through the hard work that they've been doing. Both teams are looking dangerous, both through their forward carries, which are making some good yardage through contact, and both have had some opportunities out wide. The game, this is one of those games where I think the second half is simply going to be defined by the team that has more of the ball. That's not always the case, but I think the team that has more of the ball will emerge victorious from this one.
Well, the team's making their way back out. There's Jared Mullen, who I introduced as the head coach earlier, but Nathan Smith and himself are splitting the role. Nathan decided that he wanted to be on interview duty today. Great to hear from Nathan as always, and of course Alex O'Dowd as well, full of optimism. You could see by the way, or hear by the way, that he answered a few of those questions that Trent are not here to make up the numbers this year. They've certainly shown in this half that they will be competitive. Loughborough students, the first team to make their way out in the white jerseys and the dark shorts. They'll be attacking the try line away to your right in the second half. Nottingham Trent just 5 points behind. Of course, spending 10 minutes of that first half with Matt Riddington in the bin, and here they come, much to the delight of the home supporters, who've made a bit of a racket here at Lady Bay. We'll keep our eye out for substitutions. Will Sutton made his way off with an injury to be replaced by Ed Morgan towards the end of the first half. It will be Will Sutton back on the field of play to get us underway. So obviously that knock that he picked up not too serious. And from conversations before the match, Sutton, the outside half, a real key player in this team. He'll be integral to a lot of the success. So to see him back on 2 feet with a heavily strapped up left knee now, but that'll be a real relief and a real positive shot here for Trent as they get us back underway in the second half. Well, Walsh puts boot to ball straight away. He's inside the 22 this time.
And good early opportunity here for Trent. Sutton just put the kick off a little bit deeper than maybe it had been, but it's paid off. With Loughborough not being able to clear their lines as much as they would have hoped. Having Sutton back on is important, I think, for the success of the remainder of the game. A key part of the side, has been a key part through pre-season, and I think have a real influence as this game goes on.
Osman D-Men has come on number 18 for Loughborough for the second half. Of course, all the front row forwards playing full 40 minutes as we've got real powerful running for the back rowers there. Rafter manages to find Cardle. Rafter finding a gap for the first time, and now Sutton switched inside himself. Scott Hall's the first man there.
Stay square! Stay square!
Crocker. Second touch of the half for Rafter. He's keen to get his hands on the ball and takes Trent up to the 22. Shifted on there to McCarthy. Gets through the first tackle, brought down 15 metres short. Lovely touch from Jamie Jack to put him into space. But advantage coming here. Referee with his arm outstretched towards Loughborough. Step there from Priestner, tackled. Good lift from Trent. How long is the referee going to allow this advantage to go? Both teams have been quite reluctant to put boot to ball deep inside their own 22. And there is Osman Demon getting his first touch. Wearing number 18 now. Loughborough do clear it. It's not a clean connection, and this will be a second Trent line out of the half inside the Loughborough 22.
Some strong carries in that early set from Jacob Rafter, who just managed to get on the edges, and a really nice tip from Jack to McCarthy. All that was missing there is support runners were a little bit off him. Cecil was a little bit too quick for him, and that gave the opportunity for Loughborough to force a turnover. But really positive just to see a little bit of changing that point of contact from the Trent forwards.
The forward showing some lovely finesse in midfield as well. I think both teams will be very happy with the way the line-out's gone. This time it was Joe Green with the reception, but Loughborough with the counter drive.
Yes, Dave!
Oh, lovely pressure there from Kilgallen, but the referee decides it's illegal. Another penalty here, and Trent starting the second half much like they started the first. Kilgallen remonstrates with the official there. I thought that was legitimate. Jamie Lee disagreed. These lengthy discussions between the forwards before eventually passing on the details to the hooker, but this is one off the training ground and Cardle goes short. Just a metre short here for Trent. And they've equalised. Well, the pressure told. Was it Cecil McCarthy who got the final touch? Nottingham Trent 15, Loughborough 15. Again, Loughborough not getting their hands on the ball for 4 minutes, being made to pay the price. And Nottingham Trent back on terms.
Really nice finish that from Sess, just from a yard or so out. But it takes some work and it takes some practice, and both the front rows going over, both the prop forwards going over in this game is a bit of a collector's item. Actually, that'll go in the highlights reel at the end of the year.
Well, Sutton with the left peg to put Trent into the lead for the first time since the 12th minute. He sliced that one just left, so with 5 minutes of the second half gone, Nottingham Trent 15, Loughborough Students 15.
You can do all the preparation work and line out moves and practice you like, but Trent clearly lost their calling system there. I don't think the ball was meant to go there, but it's ended up with Cecil McCarthy going over one phase later.
Loughborough again, cold out of the gates, and that one's gone out on the full as well. Josh Lewis, he's got 10 points. But isn't it strange how this game ebbs and flows? Nottingham Trent starting the second half just like they started the first half, but this time they'll be hoping not to disappear in that middle section where they allowed Loughborough to take a bit of a stranglehold on the match. It's 15 apiece here. What they allowed Loughborough to do was get straight back on the score sheet, so a really important few minutes here for both teams.
Scrum was under a bit of pressure at the end of that first half. Cecil McCarthy on the tight head side was just having to do some real work against his opposite loose head. He'll just be trying hard just to hold this steady to give Alex Crocker a strong base from the number 8's feet.
Well, the scrum's gone down. Referee lets them play it, and Trent switch it back. Riddington, Goebel puts boot to ball. Not entirely sure that's where he wanted it. Oh, lovely feet from Bittram. He's come on in the second half. Well, the referee deciding that was knocked forward as opposed to coming off the boot. So advantage here for Trent. When we talk about momentum, Bittram there with 3 side steps, they're knocking it on, and Trent attempting the counter-attack. Loughborough have numbers in defence, but it's driven forward by Sutton. A good carry from the outside half, supported by Rafter. Shoulder coming in there from Jamie Jack. Still advantage here for Nottingham Trent. Riddington chips for the corner. Well, it was athletic in terms of the chase. I think Trent always second favourites for that one.
Great line. Great work, Raf, to get on Sutton.
Let's have a look at this from Bittram. Steps off the left, then the right. Who got the hand there? I was just trying to get the offload away.
Really nice work from the Loughborough fullback there, but much more pragmatic and sensible play from Alex Goebel there from the midfield scrum. Having just scored, got the scrum, pushed it down into the Loughborough 22. And we talked in the first half how about Trent were playing a lot of rugby inside their own half. Now one kick, good line chase has created an opportunity down the other end.
Well, this is almost an identical position to the one that led to that Cecil McCarthy try. Again, it's a lengthy debate before McCarthy trundles towards the hooker Broberg to tell him what's going on. And this time, it's a successful ball to the middle. Davis Moore, the recipient. Good counter drive here from Loughborough, but Trent just starting to gather momentum. Got Riddington adding weight in there as well. And they're over once more. All three of the front rowers over the line for Nottingham Trent. Broberg gets on the score sheet alongside Jack and McCarthy, and it's Nottingham Trent 20, Loughborough 15.
The stories of the day where the three Trent front rowers score will go late into the night, I'm sure. Much better setup from that maul from the Trent forwards. A couple they've had earlier in the game, the high's just been a bit too high. Movement of the ball there still wasn't as perfect as they would have liked, but they managed to hold it in tight and just take it around the corner for JJ Broberg to finish it off.
10 points in 10 minutes for Trent. 3 tries to 2 as well. Well, Sutton had the extras this time. A heavily strapped left knee. Straight through the middle. And Will Sutton increases the lead. Nottingham Trent 22, Loughborough Students 15. Let's take another look at this. Trent actually managing to set the drive this time. As I mentioned, Matt Riddington adding some weight. Just broke up on the left-hand side. Broberg sensed the weakness and made no mistake. Trent 22, Loughborough 15.
Discipline
now.
now.
Real battle for that ball. I think eventually it's come back on the Trent side. Jamie Jack taking them just outside their own 22. Scott Hall puts it in reverse. Crocker with the hanging box kick, well taken by the substitute. It's Alexander Cruz wearing 21 for Loughborough. Oh, lovely inside ball. Priestnell into the 22, finds the offload to Anfield. The tackle's missed, and Anfield gets over for Loughborough Students. Well, the first time we've seen any suggestion of a counter-attack from Loughborough, and they are back on the scoreboard.
You can feel the game's just got that bit more spicy since the second half kicked off. There's a lot more noise around the ground, there's a little bit more intensity in the hits and the tackles, and that's a really good try. That's a really good try from Loughborough. Kept the ball alive really well, kept it available, and just attacked this short side where Trent hadn't quite been able to reorganise. Cecil McCarthy just jumped out the line, and 2 really strong offloads. And when you do that, you deserve the opportunity to score.
Will Atfield opens his account for the season. Now here's the opportunity to draw the scores level. Oh, that's off the post. There was some pressure on that kick as well. Thought for a second it was going to get charged down. Alexander Cruz taking over kicking duties. Going to stroke it through with the left peg. Let's take another look at this. Score of the match so far. Substitute scrum half Will Lane finds Bittram. Gorgeous offload there to Priestner. Finds Atfield outside him. Tackle missed, a rare missed tackle there by Rafter. Won't be many of those this season.
It just came from Cecil McCarthy, just jumping out the line a little bit. It left that little bit of a dog leg, which gave Loughborough the opportunity to get in behind, and they took the opportunity really well.
Well, Max Craven's off for Trent. Pau Gemeno is the man who's going to fill his boots for the remainder of this one. Trent 22, Loughborough Students 20. Approaching 15 minutes of the second half gone in this BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti opener. Broberg finds his man again. Both lineups have been exemplary in this match so far. Sutton gets shoved out of the way, but he's back into position. Possible numbers here for Trent. Blanco tackled just on the 22. No suggestion that one's gone forward. Referee's got his arm out. It's back with Loughborough. It's Tajuata. Probably been a little bit quieter than he'd have liked to. Atta. A lot of balls gone his way. Cruz takes his time and clears with the left boot, but only as far as the 22.
You just wonder if these turnovers that the Nottingham Trent keep on conceding could cost them at the end. There's been a few in this game. Loughborough doing very well over the ball, pressuring the tackle area well, are probably just about winning that and just on a few occasions it's costing Trent here.
But while Broberg is hitting his arrows like he is, there is always the opportunity for Trent. The set piece has been exemplary as Goebel steps inside and is met by the captain, Jamie Cox. Fumbled there by Jack, but Cardle picks up the pieces. Cecil McCarthy, that's a long way round him. Bang in the middle of the pitch on the 22 here for Trent. Short ball, well offloaded. Can Rafter get it away? Yes, he can. Couple of metres short here for Trent. Scott Hall met with the shoulder, but the ball's still alive here. They've gone narrow. There are Loughborough defenders there, and James Spencer at 22. Another big hit in the middle of the park. That one's gone backwards, but not before it's gone forwards, and it'll be a scrum to Loughborough.
Really nice hands there from Branco just to create that opportunity. Had Rafter, I think, just on the run round coming around the corner to creating the opportunity, but again close to the line, ball's turned over.
Ben Smith coming on for Trent here. Cecil McCarthy making his way off the pitch. That's a good shift from the big number 3. Got himself on the score sheet, of course. He's another of those players involved in the scholarship scheme here. 8 of the starting 15. Graham, Goebel, Riddington, Sutton, Crocker, Jamie Jack, Cecil McCarthy and Ben Davis Moore. And of course, Chris, that link with Nottingham Rugby really is coming to fruition. Some of the players from Trent making their way into the setup in the Championship. And I suppose in terms of building a competitive BUCS Super Rugby side, it's a nice carrot to dangle for prospective players as well.
Absolutely. A number of these guys on the field today are on student contracts there. Alex Goebel actually scored against London Irish a few weeks ago, so it proves it does happen.
Well, Trent taking the long way round here, and Goebel coming to the rescue. Well, Trent going full Fiji here. Even the front rowers putting the hands on in midfield as well. Well, that's a phase of play that really sums BUCS Super Rugby up. Seems so keen to keep the ball in hand, keep the ball in play. Oh, well gathered by Scott Hall there as he managed to keep hold of that. The referee's brought play to a halt. I think it's Will Sutton down again. And let's take another look at this. It is a long way round. He was quite relieved to see Alex Goebel there. Tossing it around, Gimeno there. Throwing the dummy. Sending Cameron Boone the wrong way before eventually being brought down by the back rowers. Well, you won't see much of that in a coaching manual.
It'll be interesting to see how that's broken down in the post-match analysis session.
It's the kind of thing, isn't it, when you talk about process and you talk about set plays, it's a coaching nightmare, but to have a group of players who can look up and play what's in front of them at some point in some match, that's going to be the difference.
Well, ultimately, you can do all the set piece and the moves and the structures as much as you like, but in reality, very rarely does a game actually happen like you plan for it in training. And the art of a good sportsman or athlete, regardless of what sport we're talking about, is that ability to make decisions when in pressurised scenarios and then execute the skills in those times.
Well, let's take another look at the collision. It's left the man down. It was difficult to see at full speed. Yeah, it was Will Sutton just going down there, clutching that left knee, the one that he had trouble with in the first half. As you can see, plenty of strapping on that. Hopefully it's not too serious.
Some credit's got to go to Max Hill there, the Loughborough 7. However, he noticed that Will Sutton was in trouble and immediately signalled to the referee that you might want to stop the game. So, that's good to see, and well done to him.
Well, he's going to be helped off the field of play by the medical staff here. And in fact, it's the right leg that he's struggling with, so he managed to shake off the one injury. You can operate on one leg sometimes, but you certainly can't operate on zero. So everything crossed for Will Sutton. Hopefully he'll be able to shake that off and continue to form an integral part of this Nottingham Trent backline throughout this BUCS Super Rugby season. But another chance here for Ed Morgan. He's already on the field of play, sporting some pretty heavy strapping himself to that left elbow area. He'll form a half-back partnership with Alex Crocker, still there wearing number 9, waiting for the referee to set this one up. But that'll be the end of the road today for Will Sutton. That's the applause of the rest of the squad and the supporters who've gathered here at Lady Bay. The last time these two teams met, just a penalty separated the sides. 10-7. Loughborough victorious on that occasion. Just a conversion separates them here. 3 tries apiece. Nottingham with their noses in front, but still plenty of meat left on this bone. And we're back underway. And Morgan gets his second first touch, and here come Trent. That one's gone forward, but they're playing on here. Now the referee does bring them back, just as Harry Graham was playing a bit of football and thought he'd put himself in on the left-hand side there. Well, a state of disbelief there, but Pretty sure the ball had gone forward. Hopefully we'll get another chance to have a look at that one. Lovely first touch from Graham though. Delightful through ball for himself.
He flicked it up nicely and did end up putting the ball down. Of course, it didn't matter. Just a little chip over the top, and I think he did actually ground the ball as well.
But when he's putting his highlights reel together at the end of the season, there's no need for anyone to know that that wasn't a touchdown. Alas, the scoreboard does not change. Trent still with their noses in front and still playing rugby in the Loughborough half. Cruz clears with the left boot, but that's not a big ask. He hasn't managed to turn the ball carrier, and Harry Graham puts some footwork on. Or Will Lane, the replacement scrum half, makes the tackle on the halfway line. Branco spent a lot of time in midfield as Branco really does go looking for work. Good defence from Loughborough though. Trent going nowhere and bailed out on the far side. Suggestion of a little bit of discontent there from the Trent forwards too. An hour gone here at Lady Bay.
Yeah, the feeling's just heating up a little bit with only 2 points in it. And 20 to go. Interesting there that, you know, a lot of this half Trent have put a little bit more boot to ball. On that occasion decided to try and run it back from the halfway line, and Alex Goebel got pushed into touch. Interesting how teams always play this when it gets tight in the closing moments as to how much they look to push for scores versus trying to conserve what they've got. So really fascinating 20 minutes to come.
More good line out ball. I think no matter what the result here, that's a positive that both teams can take from this. Oh, massive hit there, Alex Goebel. He's dished it in defence all day, but that might be the sweetest hit of the lot. Here's Bittram. Oh, lovely offload from Bittram. Priestner backs himself. Oh, and a wonderful cover tackle. Hit there from Nottingham Trent.
That's not far off the perfect exit strategy, you would say. Carrying well out of the 22, working towards the halfway line, and a superb kick down that touchline there from Ed Morgan. Really good, and has completely turned the pressure around in about 30 seconds.
Certainly has. Jamie Cox, the captain, was immaculate with his line-out throwing. This is Jamie Harding's first of the match. 15 minutes to go, his team trailing, and he's 15 metres from his own try line. Big moments here for Loughborough students. Shortened numbers. Trent closing the gap.
Make sure, Duke.
So Alexander Cruz has the opportunity to clear.
Nice, Trent, very nice.
Cruz finds touch. He's been far more keen to put boot to ball than Josh Lewis, who he replaced.
Use the line. Boys, discipline. Go now, boys, just go.
Into the final 15 minutes then, BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti. It's the opening match of the season, the East Midlands Derby. Nottingham Trent looking for their first victory over Loughborough students. Currently have their noses in front. Replacement hooker Jamie Harding gets the ball in. It's not straight. So the team's exchanging errors at the line out here. Scrappy stuff.
You can just feel a little bit of tension eking into the game now. Trent gave away a penalty down in the Loughborough 22, which I'll be really disappointed to do, and then a basic error from the line out.
Since the change of hooker, it doesn't look as fluid at the set piece for Loughborough.
It's always a really hard change, and and there's a lot of reasoning. Sometimes you change hookers in terms of their work rate around the field, but it does make the set piece difficult, especially if it's really settled.
Alex Crocker still on here for Trent. Loughborough changed their scrum half, of course. Oh, good work by the replacement scrum half as well. Will Lane gets hands on Scott Hall to slow things down. Ben Davis-Moore is met as well. Another big collision in midfield. It's Ben Smith, the ball carrier for Trent. Ed Morgan nearly getting through there, just lost his balance. Well, once again, Matt Riddington proving a nightmare for Loughborough to bring down. Will Cardle starting to feel the ribs. He takes a knee as well. I think both forward packs have worked incredibly hard in that contact zone. It's no wonder a few of them have started to feel it.
Trent win the penalty there from the high tackle, but Loughborough continuing to work well over the ball. The back row have been a real menace today, and the resulting ruck which came before the penalty again did great work to slow the momentum down.
Well, Chris Campbell, I'm giving you plenty of warning here. On 75 minutes, I'm going to ask you for your Yoti player of the match. So you've got 8 minutes to decide. And I know that in a game like this, that is on a knife edge, it's so difficult. And very often last season, it was the kiss of death. The player of the match would be awarded to a team in the lead, and then we'd have a last-minute turnaround. So to answer the question you're sending me with your eyes, yes, I am throwing you under the bus. However, on 75 minutes, I'm going to ask you for your Yoti player of the match. And following the match, they'll be presented with a bottle of Yoti champagne, which I'm sure, if it's accompanied by a victory, will taste absolutely delicious. Here's Broberg, again finds his man. Again, Trent looked to set the drive. Loughborough straight in there with the counter drive. The last drive, remember, led to that Broberg try, but they go out this time. And this time Loughborough win the penalty. Goebel unable to find his way through. I think it was a little bit too cute from Trent in the midfield here. Crocker went digging. Crossing in the midfield. Again, that's a tough one to call.
I think technically the referee got that one right, but you question the role that the players are playing in the game.
Well, Loughborough have missed touch from the penalty. Charlie Dodd carrying it in there, wearing number 20 off the replacements bench for Trent. Oh, lovely hands again from Morgan. He times the pass beautifully. Davis-Moore with the carry. Jamie Jack. Of course, 3 tries apiece. One more score would mean a bonus point. So what do Trent do now? Straight away, an arm goes up and points for the sticks. That is probably the sensible call as we approach the final 20 minutes. Trent leading 22-20. They're winning this second half 12-5. Let's take a look at the penalty. Well, hands all over it there from Cameron Boone.
I think Loughborough can probably feel a little bit hard done by there. First man went straight on the ball, referee signals his hands, went past it, but the Trent players will not be disputing that one, I'm sure, and Morgan will take as much if he can as this minute to extend the lead.
And Morgan here with a chance to open his account for the season. Play ticking over really nicely, ball in hand. That's not the cleanest of strikes. It's drifted wide as well. Well, that is an opportunity gone begging there for Morgan. And the score remains Nottingham Trent 22, Loughborough Students 20. straight off the boot. That didn't look a clean strike there from Morgan.
No, but those things can often shake a team up a little bit, missing kicks from relatively close to in front. So really important that Trent receive this restart and just control the next 30 seconds or so of this game.
Bounces up nicely then for Goebel. Goes headlong there into Osman Demon. And now Trent concede the penalty. Well, it's gone a little bit scrappy here. Plenty of time on the clock. So let's take another look at this here then. Goebel receives the ball, runs headlong into Demon.
Yeah, I think that's a fair enough call from the referee. I think the tackle was technically completed. He was holding him as he hit the deck, and Alex Goebel needs to release that before he can play it. So tight one, but I think a good decision from the referee.
What it does mean is Loughborough have an opportunity back in the Trent half. Jamie Harding, replacement hooker. He's been a little bit shaky with his arrows thus far. Maybe third time lucky. Good ball at the front. Lane. Cruz. Ball rushing out of the line there. Didn't make the tackle, but certainly halted things. Lane in there again. Loughborough will be looking a way to get Tim Bittram into the match here. But not necessarily like that. Sun just breaking through the clouds here. Faint long shadows to the right hand side of the players. Alex Crocker has stayed down here for Trent. He's back on 2 feet, the Trent scrum half. Cruz finds touch inside the 22. Sun really breaking through now. Wonder if a kick to the left-hand side of the Trent line be really difficult to spot. Can see a few of their backs starting to shield their eyes from the light. But first things first, Harding needs to find his line-out jumper. 7 minutes on our clock remaining. BUCS Super Rugby presented by Yoti. Trent 22, Loughborough 20. Trent in search of their first victory at this level against Loughborough students. Advantage coming here for Loughborough. If they do win the penalty, what's the call? It looked like it could kick off there, but Loughborough still going. 5 metres short, eventually brought to ground. Spencer. There's space to the right hand side if they can get the ball there. Bittram jogs to the left. Over the line! And Loughborough back into the lead. Trent 22, Loughborough students 25. Well, again, it wasn't clean work from Loughborough, but it was effective.
And as the game's been going, it swung from one way out to the other. Just a couple of minutes ago, Ed Morgan had a chance to extend the lead to 5 points for Trent. Missed that. Alex Goebel gave away a penalty, and within a minute, NTU are standing underneath their own sticks.
And that's a 4th score, so a bonus point for Loughborough as well. Alexander Cruz with the chance to make it a 5-point deficit. Here's Cruz with the left peg. Makes no mistake. Nottingham Trent 22, Loughborough students 27. Let's take another look at this.
It's been a day of these short finishes, and in the sunny conditions we've had up here in Nottingham, the vast majority of these scores have all been from tight angles.
Well, patience required, and I think both teams have been guilty of rushing things. When they have stuck to it, they've reaped the rewards. And Loughborough 4 minutes away from victory here. No pressure on the receiver. He finds a good touch, back up over halfway. Well, just a heads up, Chris, I'm going to be asking you for that Yoti player of the match in a minute. Still a few minutes to go, and still the potential sting in the tail for either side. Nottingham Trent 22, Loughborough Students 27. Oh, while we're waiting for the line out, Chris Campbell, do you have a Yoti player of the match for us?
I do, and I've said on a couple of occasions I've been really impressed by the work rate of the Loughborough's back row. I think that could be what may just tip the game in their favour in the end, and so I've gone for the Loughborough number 8, Ollie Kilgallen.
There he is in the bottom of your shot there. And I think you could have picked any one of the back rows from either side. It has been a real bruising encounter, but Ollie Kilgallen is the Yoti player of the match. But will his team be able to hold on for the victory? Penalty here for Trent. And all of a sudden, decisions need to be made here. Trent need to be clinical. They've shown that they can go through the phases. They've shown that they can hold on to the ball for 3 or 4 minutes at a time. But now the mistakes creep in. They've missed touch. And here's Tim Bittram. Lethal counter runner. Seems to beat the first tackle every time, does Bittram. And there is the man of the match, Ollie Kilgallen. But the job is not yet done. Well, that's scrappy. It's gone out of the side. It's been knocked on, and it's back with Trent. Well, they've got a long way to go. They've got a couple of minutes to do it in. Nottingham Trent 22, Loughborough Students 27. And we've got a little bit of cup final cramp here for Loughborough as well. Cecil McCarthy coming back on for the final throws. 1 score already for the big man.
Real test of both sides here in the closing minutes of the game. Obviously Loughborough have got the lead. They've got 4 tries in the bank. From a Trent perspective, what magic can they pull out from this midfield scrum for Alex Crocker?
Well, Hall the last to join, the number 8 in the red scrum cap. Well, he's not required. Is the penalty awarded by the referee? Well, if Riddington can find a good touch here, we are in for a grandstand finish. Our clock is into the final minute. The touch has been found just outside the 22.
Another bad kick from Riddington. Would have looked to have wanted another 5 metres on it. Last chance maybe coming up.
One final consultation with the forward pack as they amble towards the 22. One final defensive effort required from Loughborough Students. Broberg has been immaculate with his arrows. Consultation with McCarthy complete. He's found this man again, and Trent set. Again, the counter comes straight in from Loughborough, and Trent start to creep forward. Ball's at the back, it has to come out, and it's Broberg with it in hand. Oh, wonderful line, and it's that man, Alex Goebel. Surely he's won it for Trent. Well, he's put in a remarkable shift in defence. He's been the most physical presence on the field, and Alex Goebel hits the hole. It's Trent 27, Loughborough 27 with the kick to come to win it.
Fantastic line from Alex Goebel. The forwards had just not managed to get the front foot ball they wanted. I think Jamie Jack took it off, but a superb line from Goebel against the grain of the Loughborough defence. And now it's going to be Riddington who should take all the time he wants on the kick.
Well, it's highly likely this will be the last play of a pulsating match. I told you at half-time, didn't I? This is a league to stick with. Always delivers the drama. Matt Riddington to win it for Nottingham Trent. It's a full chase from Loughborough. Through the uprights. And the referee blows the full-time whistle. Nottingham Trent left it late, but that is their first victory over Loughborough students. Full-time here at Lady Bay. Nottingham Trent take it by 2 points, 29-27. Chris Campbell, I'll let you get your breath back. What a remarkable start to the season.
Superb game. It really did go both ways. Both sides had real momentum at different moments of the game, and you felt like if that game kept going another 10 minutes, the lead would keep swapping hands. So, you know, thankfully from a Trent perspective, when the clock hits 80, it's that final kick from Matt Riddington which has nudged the scoreboard in our favour. But a fantastic game to start the season.
Well, there is the full-time score. Nottingham Trent 29, Loughborough students 27. And of course, I think that shows a massive difference in the mentality of Nottingham Trent. Perhaps last season, when they started to slip behind, when they went 15-10 behind, then conceded the late try, maybe there wasn't the mentality there to overcome that, but to stick with it at the end, and for that man jogging off the pitch there, the match winner, Alex Goebel, to hit that line, that shows that Trent are a real force to be reckoned with this season.
Experience plays a massive part in situations such as this. You know, these guys have now been in a number of situations in games late last season where they were just behind, they couldn't quite turn it over. It's a very similar side to a lot of the players we had out last year, and it's just things like that which end up tipping the balance in the end.
Well, let's take a look at some of the highlights, some of the many highlights. 29-27, as close as we expected it to be. And we'll go all the way back, seems an eternity ago now. The opening try, Trent, a fantastic start to the match. We're
going to talk, you know, a lot about things like Alex Goebel's final try and the tries that some of the tries Loughborough scored as well. But there is some, in terms of the dark arts of rugby, there's been some excellent carrying today, some really strong finishing from the type 5 forwards on both sides, and that's something that doesn't happen by accident. Teams work on this, they practice this, just looking for those little outside shoulders like Jamie Jack there, and that's the thing which just makes those extra inches to get over the line.
Well, we're taking a look at a few of the first half tries here. Of course, Loughborough had their noses in front, 15-10 at half-time. And after a slow start, as you mentioned at half-time, Loughborough will certainly have been the happier of the two teams. It was important for Trent to really fly out of the blocks in the second half, particularly as you mentioned, there might have been a little bit of aggrievement there. Perhaps Max Craven could have done a little bit better. And when it's mistakes that mean you're a score behind, it's really important to kind of make up for those, and Trent did that with aplomb. Even when it didn't necessarily go right, as we saw there, they always found a way to make it work.
Yeah, they did, and I think Loughborough, when you go back and Loughborough analyse this game, I think they might look at those last 20 minutes of the first half, actually the period when they could have got a couple more tries on the board and they had the opportunities. You know, both teams made errors at times, that happens in a game of rugby. That one there was certainly not a planned line-out move at all, but sometimes that's what leads to the opportunities, like the first try did, which Jamie Jack scored as well.
I think we need to give a huge amount of credit for the referee today as well. As you mentioned, there was a little bit of needle, a little bit of spice up there. It could have boiled over, but he kept great control, but this try from Loughborough, arguably the pick of the bunch.
Yeah, this was a superb try. They just identified that little gap in the line where Cecil McCarthy jumped out, but 3 really impressive passes, offloads out the tackle. And when you do things like that, you deserve to score the tries. We just see there, just that inside off one, and then the support lines are good, staying close to the ball, earning the right to get the opportunity to score.
Well, at this point, Loughborough got themselves back into the match. It was ebbing and flowing. It was Trent's to lose. Then Loughborough found a way to get into the lead, and it looked for all the world like they were going to get there until that man hit that line. And what about his centre partner Riddington holding his nerve here with the conversion?
I think what Alex Goebel also did there very well is I think he identified where the referee was, and the referee just come into the defensive line, and that may have just held one of the Loughborough defenders just a little bit, and Goebel have known he was doing that. Very smart line.
Well, we'll be bringing you interviews from the coaches and the man of the match presentation very shortly. Beautiful sunshine here in Nottingham. But of course, next week it is Cardiff versus Cardiff Met live from the Arms Park, and that is not one you want to miss.
I think we know when players come here, we know that they're decent backgrounds, rugby players and athletes. I think we're trying to look more holistically and really look at that player, that athlete, but also their academic side. And as a person, nothing gives me greater pleasure than seeing boys 5-10 years down the line, seeing the type of father they've become, really trying to emphasise that good person in the environment.
The thing about rugby is you want everybody to be quick, everybody to be strong, everybody to be big, but it's a little bit like cutting a cake up. You've got to look at the individual player, look at their roles and responsibilities on the field, and you've got to be able to kind of justify with the training and the development that they can actually develop into the type of player that you actually want.
Well, again, hopefully we want to play like heads up rugby, I suppose. Play what's in front of us, but also have that structure around us where we can maybe tailor things up, where we like 5 minutes to go, shorten the game up and suck defenders in, and it's just playing what's in front of us and adapting to the situation, but also having a good structure that the coaches have set in front of us and good game plans also.
I think the first thing we all said when we came off the field was, I want more of this. It was certainly one of the most enjoyable games of my rugby career. I wouldn't say I loved the result, but I suppose that was a huge motivation in wanting to sort of get back there and go that one better. And for me, that's a real goal this year.
That final was really enjoyable, the whole day, the experience, but a bit of a bitter pill to swallow at the end and losing last minute, but that's rugby and it is what it is, and it's up to us now to do one better again.
I think from a philosophy point of view, we're trying to create effective decision makers, players taking ownership of the game, and I think we want people to be able to play an all type court game where you're able to play with the ball in hand, but maybe sometimes take a more pragmatic approach depending on the situation and the context of the game. So I think it's a physical game, it can be a high speed game, ball in hand, but it's about making those effective decisions at the right times.
The things that are going to help you win the game today aren't the things that make you a good rugby player, they're the things that make you a good person. And if you think about simple things like getting out of bed in the mornings, getting your nutrition right, not only looking after yourself but looking after the people around you, leadership qualities. I mean, all these things are things that you can carry on, not just in rugby, but you can carry on into your job, into your family life, into your primary and secondary relationships, being a good parent. A lot of these values that we instill into people within our rugby club, I feel carry on way beyond and into everyday life.
Of course, Cardiff versus Cardiff Met, one not to be missed, live from the Arms Park. Speaking of not to be missed, that was an incredible game, Ollie. I'm sure being on the receiving end, it'll take a little while to sink in, but the BUCS Super Rugby season's underway. Your thoughts on that one?
Well, it's always a tough one to lose a game in that fashion, but that's what BUCS Rugby's all about. It's hard, it's fast, like that's what we want. That's what we want to see. I mean, all the people here want to see it. And yeah, it's just a shame that we couldn't get the result at the end of the day.
I can see from your body language, obviously, you're bitterly disappointed, but I think one of the beauties of this league is it is practically impossible to go the season unbeaten. You've got a week to dust yourselves off now, and I'm sure you'll be back with force.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we've got a massive game next week against Exeter, so I'm sure all the boys will be up for that. I mean, we're up for today, but sadly, things didn't go our way. Now we know what we've got to work on, and we'll bring our A game next week.
In terms of a personal performance, I'll be giving you this bottle of champagne in a minute. It seemed a really hard graft out there today. The back rows, you just went toe to toe for 80 minutes.
Well, again, that's what this league's all about. You've got some of the best players in the country battling it out week in, week out. And as you said, like, it's hard not to come away with a loss over the season. It's just tough to get that on the opening day, but I'm sure we'll bounce back and we'll go from here.
Well, commiserations on the result. Good luck with Exeter next week. But congratulations, you are the Yoti
Thank you very much.
Man of the match. Well done.
Thank you.
And good luck. Right, who are we going to bring in next? Alex? Well, congratulations. We had a chat before the match. You said we're not here as a little brother, we're not here to make up the numbers, and I think that performance really does set your stall out for the season.
Oh, absolutely, and I think we're going to get better and better. I mean, we gave away far too many penalties. The boys, we've talked about that, and if we can look after the ball a bit more, I think the brand of rugby we'll play will be, good to watch, and hopefully more of our NTU students will come and watch.
Well, of course, it goes down as a win on the day. It's a 2-point victory, but there were moments in that game where you really showed character. First of all, not conceding when you went down to 14 men. That was at a key time of the game as well.
Yeah, I think our game management was really good there. I think we went to 5-man lineouts, even though we lost the back, just to make sure that we had an extra forward in the back line that could carry for us. Not that we tried to slow down the clock, but I think we looked to just try and make sure we play the right ends of the field, which we didn't really do, but we did it enough to manage that period into half time, and to go into that break with only sort of conceding a penalty when we could have got some points. That was really good spirit from the lads.
And you spoke about the tight 5 pre-match as well. How do you feel they got on in a real battle?
Oh, look, I think Joe Green coming back into our lineout's a massive asset. I mean, I know that he lacks a little bit still around the park, and he won't mind me saying that, but he is a he's a connoisseur of the lineouts, and he knows how to run a lineout, and he's very good in the air. Having said that, our front row did well with Cecil and Jamie Jack, and JJ Broberg and at 2, I think had probably one of his best games for the university that I've seen him play. And I think, as I said before the game, you've got to set your stall out with what you can do up front, and then you can play off the ball you get.
Speaking of Broberg, I thought his set piece, actually the set piece for both teams, but his line-out throwing in particular, I thought was exemplary.
Yeah, look, he won't mind me saying it's been a work on for him for a couple of years, and he's worked really, really hard. He's come back through pre-season, and he's put a little bit of extra weight on, good weight. He's worked on his set pieces throwing and his scrummaging, and I think we always know he can be a dynamic carrier. He can get around the park and he'll make his tackles, but the set piece has always been a little bit of a question mark for him. But he's just really worked hard at his game, and I think that sums up the character of most of them, that they really want to get better at what they do.
Well, I threw Chris under the bus a little bit. He's over there. We're going to grab a chat with him in a minute, and I asked him to award the man of the match before the full-time whistle. He gave it to Ollie Kilgallen, but there were a number of players in pink today who could have gone home with that award.
Oh yeah, look, I mean, I think Ollie was well deserved. I mean, as I think just talking with Chris, their back row did start to get a little bit on top of us towards the end there. Look, Loughborough played really, really well, and it was a cracking game. Well, it could have gone either way at the end, and we were just lucky to get that, really good line by Gobsy to score. Bit of a pressure kick from Matt, who hasn't kicked all year. I didn't even know he kicked goals, but he does it, so that's fair enough. In saying that, it was a great game of footy for both teams, and I just think it's a great team effort that hopefully we can build on.
Speaking of Gobsy, which is what I'm going to refer to him as always from now on, what a line at the end, but particularly in defence, he was a man mountain for you today.
Yeah, well, he always tries to get in the forwards, and I tell him he's a centre. So no, he you know, he could play in the forwards. He can play everywhere. He's an absolute athlete. So he likes to get his hands on the ball. He can be punishing when he carries. Defensively, he's still got a little bit of work to do, you know, but it just his awareness and his decision making. But when he hits, and that's great.
Of course, it's the first game of a very long and competitive season. But to get over the line in a match like this, is this something that you can really build on moving forward?
Well, I think it's crucial now that there's relegation that you know you get off to a good start. You know, we wanted a bonus point win and we got it. That was our aim in this game. Come into this game to get a bonus point win, and we got the bonus point win. It just means you can build on that. Look, we've got massive games coming up, and we're going to go through weeks where things won't go our way and we'll be under the pump. But as long as the boys show the character that they did in that last 5 minutes, then for me that's success.
Well, Alex, congratulations. A bonus point win, a first win against Loughborough. Good luck for the rest of the competition. I look forward to catching up with you later in the season. Chris, save the best till last, of course. I mentioned throwing you under the bus there, but that game quite literally could have gone anyway, couldn't it? It was a brilliant game of rugby. It's a superb advert for BUCS Super Rugby, but that badge on your chest, it's a pretty big day for Nottingham Trent.
It could have gone either way. I think if we'd have gone another 10 minutes, we would have flipped one way, another 10 minutes back the other. It's massively important, I think, for the boys because of how last season was. You know, they kept their spirit all the way through, but to get that win on the board, to get it early, is a massive confidence booster for us going forward. All it takes is 2 or 3 games for you to think, oh, when are we going to get it? And I don't think you can say one team deserved to win it over the other. I think both were good. I think, you know, both sides deserved to take away the win, and thankfully from a Trent perspective we did manage to take it. So
people I speak to say I'm like a broken record. I'm always going on about this BUCS Super Rugby division, these great players, this great brand of rugby. But if you're a rugby fan, there's no way to buy into this.
No, not at all. Especially because how it ebbs and flows. You know, there was so many momentum shifts in that game. There was very little dead time. There was always something happening. Both teams showed great invention, especially in the first half. Both teams really looked to bound.
Very much as well. Cardiff University versus Cardiff Met live from the Arms Park. Do not miss it. Don't forget to stay in touch on all the social media and send us a tweet, #BUCS Super Rugby. We would love to hear from you. Full time here. It is a first victory in the history of Nottingham Trent against Loughborough, 29-27. What a match. We'll speak to you again soon.